It's time for the Leadership Lunch Break with Joy Jackson of Speaking of Joy. Let's tune in for today's discussion with Carlotta Colquitt.
Good afternoon. Good afternoon. Welcome to the Leadership Lunch Break. I'm Joy Jackson of Speaking of Joy, and I'm glad that you are joining me today for this very special edition of the Leadership Lunch Break, probably the best one that I've done thus far because it's twofold. The first one is it is my mom, Carlotta's birthday. Happy birthday, Mama. I say mom, I was being all nice and politically correct, but this is my mama. So happy birthday. I'll sing later. And I thought it would be fitting and special to have my mom here for the Leadership Lunch Break on her birthday. So you can get to know the lady who raised me, and we can talk. You can hear, I say a lot of times things about my mom. You'll know exactly what they are. Now you know the lady behind it. So Mama, welcome to the Leadership Lunch Break. She's making her debut, y'all. She's making her debut. So please, throughout the session, drop a line, say happy birthday, all of those good things, because I definitely want to shower my mom with loves, and what a better way to do it than here. So my mom is Carlotta Colquitt. She is in the house that I was raised in right now. We are not together. We're sitting in about an hour away in Houston. So if you know Houston, it's far. She's on one side of town, I'm on the other, but we have come together to do this. So Mama, thank you so very much for joining me for the Leadership Lunch Break.
Thank you for having my daughter.
Yes. So most people don't know anything about you. So tell them a little bit about you.
Well, let's see. I've been an educator, taught school for 37 years, taught elementary, middle, high school. I've been a magnet coordinator for HISD, an adjunct professor for Houston Community College, a part-time principal, and a curriculum writer for music elementary teachers for Houston Independent School District. I think that's all I've done in 37 years.
Okay, but church, you got about 250 things you do at church. So what do you do at church?
Okay, I'm a member of the Fountain of Praise.
Shout out to the Fountain of Praise, yes.
And co-pastor Mia K. Wright. Mm-hmm. And let's see, I am the assistant director of the New Birth Children's Choir. I teach Bible study on Wednesday to children. I teach new member orientation blitz to children. I do care disciples for children. And that's pretty much all I do at the church other than praise God and love giving God praise.
All right. So as you can see, my mama's going to heaven because she's on a ton of ministry. So, hey, Kim Felder, thank you for joining us.
Hi, Kimmy.
So, Mama, people will be popping up. Hey, Bridget. And so people are going to tell you happy birthday. You'll probably get a lot of them afterwards, too, because we do this at lunchtime, but people watch throughout the day. So let's jump right in. Tell everybody how wonderful a daughter I was. Go.
Well, let's start with the fact that I couldn't have any children. That's the first thing. At 27 years old, the doctor said, oh, no, your egg cells are not doing what they're supposed to do. So the possibility of you and your husband having a baby looks null and void. Joy's dad was having problems with his spermatozoa, the count. And so all that we can attribute it to was, of course, the grace of God, who stepped in and said, okay, we're going to give you a baby. We did all of the vitro, the fertility pills, all of that things that people do to try to have a child. And then all of a sudden, the doctor said, you know what, God and y'all took care of that. You are pregnant. So yes, Joy was born, came into the world. I couldn't think of another name. Didn't want a girl, wanted a boy. Had the name Paul Alexander already. And here comes Joy. And so then I had to think of a name, and we agreed on Joy, and I decided to spell it that way and put Siobhan in the middle, and she's been a joy in my life, and I know everybody's life that she has touched. She's been a blessing to them as well. So yes, she's wonderful. She's gifted. She's talented. She's beautiful. And she's just a great, great woman of God, first of all, and then a great daughter, great wife, and great mother.
Thank you. See, and I didn't even prompt her to say that. So Mama, thank you so very much. But yeah, it's a blessing, of course. You know, I mean, one of the things that I always think happens is a lot of times we hear no so many times in so many areas, and then God opens a door to allow us to actually have the things that he's promised us. So I will say, for people who are struggling in areas, it doesn't have to be fertility, but if there are things in your life where you feel like the doors are closed, don't give up on God, because he can do anything. And I am a living witness that he can do anything, because I'm here. So yes. So, and I'll just say hello to my daddy, Reverend Paul Giddings. He may not be watching now, but that's my daddy. And everybody's going to say, you look like your mama, but you'll see my daddy, you'll see the same thing. But yes, I love you guys so very much. So let me ask you, Mama, what was it like raising a child in the late 70s, early 80s?
Well, it was a little difficult because I was an elementary school teacher and I had to travel quite a bit to get to the job. I started off at a school in Bel Air. Oh my goodness. My first teaching job was at a school called Gordon Elementary in Bel Air, Texas. It was such a challenging time to work and a challenging place to work because of my race, of course, and because a lot of the children were taught, like they are now, the negativities of somebody being different. So it was a task. I won the children over, but I didn't think that I won the principal and the faculty over, but I just persevered and God brought me through it. After being there 2 years, I asked to transfer, and I did transfer. And when I did transfer, then I had the principal calling back to my boss at that time, Ms. Ruth Red at HISD, and Gloria Duke, and asked them to have me to come back. And I said, okay, look at God work. And then, of course, I went to a school on Homestead, which was Houston Gardens Elementary School, where I stayed there for like 10 years. And then I went to Pleasantville Elementary School, and I stayed there for about 7 or 8, 10 years. So I've been around, and it was difficult. It was really, really difficult. But because I feel like God had given me the gift to teach and music, I had fun with it, and I learned a lot walking through that time period in my life, that you just lean on God through every situation and he'll bring you through it. You don't know how it's going to turn out, but you just have to depend on him. And that's what I learned to do during that time of the 70s and the 60s. It was really, really kind of rough, but God brought me through it.
He did. So Mama, tell everybody, everybody's saying happy birthday. Thank you, Beverly, for wishing Mama happy birthday. Thank you, Valerie, for wishing happy birthday. Hey, Bessie, that's our family all the way in the ATL. Sasha Jackson, Sissy, thank you for saying happy birthday. Thank you all so much for joining in and for saying happy birthday. So, Mama, so let's tell them about your history. So you are a graduate of the other TSU.
Oh, I'm a graduate of the first Texas Southern University. Yay, yay, Tigers. A bachelor's degree in music education and a master's degree in administration and supervision. And I went to Texas Southern, the land and the home of the Fighting Tigers of TSU in Houston, Texas. Yes, that my child did go to that other TSU.
Tennessee State University. Oh, Lord, Sasha, yes, go Tigers. Okay. But so Mama, I know this, but when you went to school, you didn't go to school for music education. You actually went for voice. Now, I'm not going to ask you to sing today, but my mother has, oh Lord, Kim Felder said Texas Southern University. I'm not going to ask you to sing today, but tell them a little bit about how you went from having the idea to be a vocalist in music to actually going into education. What was that transition like, and why that transition?
Well, first of all, I didn't want to be a teacher. I wanted to be a nurse. Had gotten accepted to Dillard University, and was all
stop right here, because Sasha's about to start typing about Dillard. Go ahead. Okay, go ahead.
I wanted to go to Dillard University. Had gotten accepted. The dean had accepted me. Had given me a scholarship, Mr. Giles Hubert. I never will forget. My mom and I were so excited. Had gotten a 4-year scholarship. And in March of the year that I graduated, 1970, he sent a letter, the university sent a letter and said, oh my goodness, he has retired and you need to apply for a loan. And my mom said, oh, no, you are not going to Louisiana on a loan. So I went to Texas Southern University, got a 4-year Worthing scholarship to from Worthing High School, where I graduated, and attended Texas Southern University. Got in there and said, oh, my goodness. And my counselor at Worthing High School, Mrs. Gaines, said, well, Carlotta, you can sing, so why don't you just go and do voice for a little while? I said, okay. But I was still determined not to go to TSU for the rest of my life. Went to Texas Southern University, started singing. Texas Southern University's concert choir was traveling all over the country and out of the country. In the first year, we went to Germany, Holland, Switzerland, and France. And I said, okay. And I started singing opera. When I said, okay, I could do this. So I started singing. The next year, we went all over the Midwest in the United States, Kansas, Missouri, those places I had never seen. I said, okay, well, I guess I could do this. The third year, we went to the West Coast. And I said, okay, so of course, I wound up staying because I really enjoyed what was going on, but I didn't really plan on being a music teacher at all. Not at all. Not at all. Didn't want to do that. And then, of course, my advisor, Mrs. Ruthabelle Rollins, said, well, Carlotta, why don't you go on and get an education degree? And I'm like, no, ma'am, I don't want to teach. She said, well, get it. You get it anyway. You don't know whether you'll teach or not. And of course, you see what happened. I wound up doing 37 years. Do I regret it? No, I really, really don't, because I really had a good time teaching, enjoyed teaching all levels, really enjoyed it. So that's how I wound up with music.
What's been the cool thing about retirement? Like all of us probably on here all want to get to retirement. What's the cool thing about retirement?
I think one of the coolest things about retirement is that I get to see my grandchildren a lot, and my son-in-law and my daughter a lot. I don't have to get up in the mornings. I get up when I want to. I can stroll down my stairs and just kind of chill and do whatever I want to do when I want to do it. I can meet my friends. We can travel. We can laugh. We can meet up and have lunches and late dinners. And that's the coolest thing, I think. And just being healthy, thank God, being healthy, that I can just enjoy retirement with good health. And I'm grateful for that. Just really, really grateful to God for that. And I know he's done that. Not me. Absolutely. He's done that.
Absolutely. So what is one of the, Bessie said yes, Bessie understands the retirement life too. For those of us who have yet to retire, hang on in there. Exactly. We're gonna do and so Krista Garcia said my in-laws say the same thing, retirement goals. So that's where we're going. All of us on here, hashtag retirement goals. Our goal is to retire, but as my mom said, to retire in good health, so that we can enjoy the lives that we've set up for. So Mama, what is one thing that you've learned over the course of your life? So for those who don't know, if you follow me on social media, you saw that I of course I put the story up of us doing this, and I played Kirk Franklin, You Keep On Looking Out For Me. So my mother has some sayings and some words that we're going to share that hopefully will change your life and inspire you. So one of the words that my mother says all the time is that God is what?
Faithful.
There you go.
He's sovereign.
What does that mean?
Two favorite words to describe God: sovereign. Sovereign means that he is in control of everything, good, bad, ugly, indifferent, because he allows it. There's a scripture in James that says, count it all joy when you fall into diverse temptations. So when things come your way, you just have to persevere and trust God. And I say, when things happen, just say, Lord, help, because he already knows. Remember, that word sovereign means he's in control. And to be faithful. Just be faithful. God is faithful. He'll take care of you. And you just do what he says, do what he leads you to do, how he leads you to do it, and he'll take care of you. Do you see the end all the time? No, that's what it means when it says walking by faith and not by sight. So my two favorite words, faithful. And Joy knows I love that song that says, he keeps on looking out for me. Regardless of the situation, if you ever get a chance, listen to that Kirk Franklin song that says, he keeps on looking out for me. Because God does. And that's the peace that I have all the time, is that I just don't worry a whole lot, because God just keeps on looking out for me. Yeah. And I love that song. Faithful and sovereign is what God is.
There you go. So, hey, Lanessa. Lanessa's joined. Thank you
Hi,
so
Lanessa.
much.
Hey, Pastor
Listen,
Lanessa.
Sasha said we have a word. So for everybody who doesn't know, my wisdom comes from this type of conversation. And let me tell you, what you're hearing my mom say is exactly what she says to me. When things happen and God blesses me, my mom says, well, you know what, baby, God rewards faithfulness. And that's how I live. And so my mom's words are sovereign and faithful. My word is grateful. Now, if y'all have ever visited the Fountain of Praise, you know that the Shabbat choir used to sing grateful, and I never made it through the song. And the reason I never made it through the song is because when you think about where you've been, what you've experienced, good or bad, and God continues to pour into your life, whether it's health, strength, finances, family, whatever it is, you get a heart of gratitude. You get a heart of thankfulness, because you recognize that it is nothing that you've done to get or to have or to be where you are. And so my word is grateful, because I recognize that I would be nothing, have nothing, do nothing, all of this bad grammar nothings, if it weren't for God. And so that's so yeah. So we are believers in just one word that will describe how we feel about God and what He's done for us. So 3 words put in your vocabulary today is sovereign, faithful, and grateful.
Right.
Because those words, if you change your thoughts and your mind, those words will actually really change your life. So got some more people who joined. Hey, nurse. This is Sandra Robinson, is my mother's best friend in the wide world. Thank you so very much for joining us. Lanessa said, yes, the Shabbat choir, that yes, we sang many a songs together. So yeah. So Mama, let me ask you, what is the biggest lesson you've learned in your 32 years of being on this earth? That's all we're going to say. We're going to say 32. We're not going to say anything else. In your 32 years of being on this earth, what is the biggest lesson that you've learned?
The biggest lesson I've learned is it stems back to my belief. Trust in the Lord with all your heart and lean not to your own understanding. In all your ways, acknowledge Him, and He'll direct your path. I think that's one thing I've learned. And in adding those 3 words to your life that Joy has just mentioned, you also have to have a prayer life. You got to talk to God all day long. I'll walk through the house and say things like, okay, God, I want a pair of shoes. Now show me where to go to get a pair of shoes. And this is how much I want to spend. And because I ask Him about everything. And I say, okay, God, I want to do this for Joy. I want to do this for the girls. Show me where I can go. I won't have to spend a whole lot of money. And He opens up all kinds of doors. In fact, I was talking to my sister this morning, and she was telling me about how she got a car and just asked God for a car. And the car that she wanted came from New York to Bloomington, Indiana, sitting on a parking lot. And that's that faith working. She says she walked in, got the car, walked off the lot with the car the same day after walking through saying, okay, God, I need a car. So just ask God everything about everything. And that's the biggest lesson I've learned, especially as I've matured, is that you have to depend on Him for everything. And I look at my daughter, where she is now, where God has taken her, the new chapter in her life, and what I'm seeing through her and from her is her faith developing, because you have to walk by faith to become an entrepreneur. Yeah. And to see God blessing her, because you guys don't even know the intricacies that she's been through and the details of how she struggled. You hear about it, but I've seen it. I felt it. I prayed for her, and watching God do what He's doing now is really, so just talking to God, believing in God, and walking with Him through everything. Sandra and I have just been through a chapter in her life, and we talked about how God carries us, and we look down and we can't see. We see footprints in our minds, that poem footprints, and we know that God carries us through everything that we're going through. So that's the biggest thing I've learned, is just to kind of depend on God and lean on God for everything in your life, regardless of the situation and how it looks. There are some good ones, some bad ones, some awful, some ugly, but still walk through and say, okay, God, you've got this. Thank you. And give Him praise for whatever situation you're in.
Awesome. Okay. Hey, Gretchen, our cousin has joined us. So Mama, let me ask you this question. What would Carlotta today tell Carlotta, let's do the 18-year-old Carlotta. What would Carlotta today tell 18-year-old Carlotta? That is a few years ago. What would you tell her?
Probably just to listen more to the guidance of the Holy Spirit and listen more to how God directs you. I don't think I would have made as many mistakes as I had, because I figured at 18, 19, 20, I knew it all. I could handle everything. And whatever I read in the Bible or whatever I studied, I didn't care about that. I just said, okay, I can fix this myself. I don't need God to do this. I can do it because I'm young and I'm youthful. I got a little sense. And that's what I would tell the younger Carlotta. And I tell any young person now, tune in to God at an early age. The earlier, the better. And then your life, I think, would be a little smoother. Because I've had some chapters that I said, woo-wee, didn't even know I was going to make it through the chapters, but God did that too.
Absolutely.
That's what I would probably say. Just tune in to God a little earlier.
Okay. Well, I am blessed, and Sasha said this too, Mama, that we're blessed to have a gem like you in our family circle.
Oh, wow. Thanks, Sasha.
But I will say that, the idea of training up your children in the way that they should go so that when they're old, they won't depart is so very true, because I come from believing parents. I come from God-fearing parents. I come from parents who have walked the way of God since I've known them. And yes, we've all made mistakes. We've all had issues, but to truly have an example of being a God-fearing person or a God-fearing parent really changes the trajectory of your children's lives. So whether you realize it or not, or aunt, uncle, any circle of influence that you have, if you are a believer, the way that you live your life will in fact change the lives of your children. Just literally in the next couple of weeks, we will be baptizing my daughters who are only 7, because they understand God. They understand who he is, and we teach them. And so as you train them up, now we'll all make mistakes. We'll all go different ways. We'll all, veer off the path. But it's something about knowing God and having that foundation that you're always going to come back to it. You're always going to find yourself back in that space of what you've been taught. And it doesn't just have to be, yes, God is it. We're talking God, but it could be financial ideas. It can be relational ideas. The more that you instill in your children as you're growing up, the more they'll come back to that. And one of the things, I said this in one of my leadership lunch breaks, and I'll share with those of you listening today. One of the things that I applaud my mother for is her transparency. So y'all listen to me, y'all think about talking about transparency and authenticity. I get this from this lady right here. Yeah, I can't figure out how to point to you, but I get it from my mom. I lived in a house with a mother who was very open about her mistakes, very open about her decisions. And we would pray together. We would cry together. We would fuss. We would figure it out together. But the one thing that she always said to me was, this is your first time being a child, and this is my first time being a mother. So it let me off the hook. Now, doesn't mean I could do everything, but it was a learning experience, and it made me feel comfortable to know that it wasn't a do as I say, not as I do household. It was really a household where we were walking together as partners. And a lot of times, I don't think parents, we look at our children as partners. We look at our children as children, and we've got to teach them everything instead of walking with them and letting them experience life together and with us. And so, Mama, I want to thank you for allowing me to experience life with you, because we made some mistakes together. We figured it out together. We had great days. We had, much more great days than bad days. And I attribute that to your openness and your transparency and your willingness to share you and your story, so that I would know more about you. And I would know, because we also tend to want our children to think we're perfect. And or that we've never made mistakes. So the more that you can share your mistakes and your heart and your challenges with your children, the more you give them a space to grow and to say, okay, I know I'm gonna make a mistake. I'm not gonna disappoint in the way that I think I will, because my mom, my dad, my whomever made some mistakes too, and they turned out okay. So if I make a mistake, I'll turn out okay too. So thank you so much publicly for that transparency. So
well, thank you
I'm
for
going to ask you an interesting question now. So in all the stuff that you've seen me experience in this walk right now, what is one word that you would give to me or to someone else who's in this journey of self-discovery, of transition, of entrepreneurship, of just working to be better? What would you say?
resilience.
Okay.
Regardless of what happens, how it looks down the road, just realize that everything will not go as smoothly as you'd like for it to go,
Mm-hmm.
but be resilient. Get up, shake it off. My mom used to tell me, you made a mistake, you fall down, you get up, you shake yourself off, and you say, whew, and keep going. And that's one thing I used to share with my children when I was teaching, especially in high school, and I would listen to a lot of stories and unhappiness that would occur in some of their lives. And I would just tell them to exhale and go, get on up, be resilient, and keep going, keep going, keep going. Shake the pain off, shake the hurt off, shake the disappointment off, and just get up and keep going. Bounce back. Basically, that's what I would say. And that's my encouragement to you and to anybody who's walking this path that you are now.
All right. Well, thank you. So there it is, everybody. We got to bounce back. We got to bounce back. We got to be resilient. And for people who are struggling in that, some people, because it's easy to say, get up, bounce back, shake it off. But what steps do you recommend somebody take? Like when they find themselves in that space of real hurt, real brokenness, real uncertainty, how do you shake it off? What do you do? What do you do?
Well, first thing you got to do is realize where you are. Mm-hmm. And you've got to realize that you are in a place of brokenness and hurt, a disappointment. And once you realize that, then you've got to try to pull yourself up emotionally. Okay. Emotionally, you've got to pull yourself up. And that's really, really difficult to do, to pull yourself up. But that's where my faith comes in, because when I've gone through hard trials and fallen down and didn't see how I was going to get up. I remember a time I felt like if I drove over the Ship Channel Bridge, then I could go on and be out of the trouble and the frustration that I was going through at that time. But I had to pull myself up, and there the faith came in, and God said, I've got you. Mm-hmm. And so once you realize whatever you're going through, I keep repeating, God's got you because he's sovereign. Mm-hmm. The way to do it is just do it. You've got to persevere. You've got to go through some hurt because that's called LIFE. Mm-hmm. Life happens. And you've got to just get up. Just get up, persevere, be resilient. It's difficult, but I just say, Lord, have mercy, and keep going. Just say, Lord, have mercy, and keep going. Lord, I need your help. I need your strength. Keep going. That's all I can tell anybody to do. Just don't give up. Don't give up.
That's good. That's good. Because I think there are times in our lives where we want to, of course, all of us, we want to give up. We get to a point in our lives where we're like, this is too much. I can't handle it. And we want to retreat. And so it's always really important to know that that's an option, but that doesn't have to be the option. So you may want to give up, you may want to walk away, but when you get to that point, all that means is you're one step closer to the breakthrough. When you're at the point where the enemy is speaking so heavy to you that he wants you to quit, retreat, to stop, it's because on the other side of that, some major things are about to happen. So you got to keep walking, because I believe, and I've talked to a lot of people about this, there are people who are waiting on you. And because they're waiting on you, you got to go. You got to go. 37 years of teaching. How many children have you taught? A gazillion of them. You've taught the children's children. But had you given up, you would never have had the opportunity to impact the lives of the children that you've impacted. You wouldn't have the ability to impact the lives of the friends that you've impacted. So it's so important that we continue. If you don't hear anything else today, we encourage you to continue. We encourage you to keep going, because on the other side is something big. something amazing. And it may not be for you, but it may be for other people who are waiting on you to walk into the space that God has for you. So, Mama, we are about to wrap up. Is there anything else you want to say to the people who are going to watch this, who are going to listen to this? We're going to share this because a lot of people don't have this type of wisdom. Oh, look, Desiree said, I am a witness. She taught me.
Hey, Desi.
So Desiree is one of my mama's students from a few years ago. So so the impact of, so had mama gone off the ship channel, we never would have had Desiree. Desiree's got twin boys. I mean, it continues, and the lessons that she learned with my mom help her raise her children, and the relationships are continuing. So it's all about continuing so that you can get to where God has you, so that you can impact. As Crystal Garcia and I talk about, the ripple effect. You drop that pebble and it starts to ripple. So there are so many people's lives who will be changed because of the work that you do. So before we wrap up, Mama, is there anything you want to say?
I want to say thank you, Speaking of Joy, for inviting me on today. I'm honored. I told you, I said, don't ask me all these crazy questions and I don't know how to answer. I said, I'm used to talking to little children, not big children. And so I really enjoyed it. It's an honor and a privilege to appear on Speaking of Joy today at the lunch break. I really, really appreciate it. Thank you so much. And those of you who don't know, Speaking of Joy, she has a book out. A #1 Amazon bestseller, by the way. You could go online and purchase that. I just want to say that too.
Thank you. So of course, you know your mama's gonna always give you a shout out. But before we go, Mama, I want to tell you how much I love you. This is the perfect day to tell you how much I appreciate you. You are the best mama that I could have. So much so that God couldn't do it. I mean, y'all couldn't do any better. You only had one child because you couldn't do it as good as me again. But I thank you for your honesty, your transparency. I thank you for never judging me, for always cheering for me. I wish you the best day ever. We're going to try to get there, but of course the weather may not be our friend, but I want to publicly say that I love you so very much. And I am who I am because of who you are. So I thank you for every single thing you've done, how you've poured into me, how you've poured into my children, how you've poured into Stephen, and we are a better family because of you. So happy birthday. I love you so very much.
Thank you, Miss Joy. Thank you, everybody else. And thank you for your well wishes on my 69th birthday. And one of my friends, Reverend Charlotte Jolivet, called me and said 65. So I like 65.
There you go. So if my mom is on social media, so please, by all means, go in, say, oh, look, people are still coming on. Miss Stephanie's on here. So she said, happy birthday, sister friend. So please today, take a moment. You see all my posts about my mom, send a shout out because I want this day to be special for her as we celebrate her 69th birthday. Share this, share with other people so that people who have not heard this kind of wisdom, hey, look, my husband's there, Stephen Jackson.
Hi, Sonny. Hi, my Sonny.
Oh, this is like a family reunion. So yeah. So
we are family.
Yeah. So thank you all so very much for being with us this day. And we will continue to celebrate my mom's birthday. Of course, we do the Leadership Lunch Break every single Thursday. This will be available for you on all social media platforms. So I invite you to share it with other people. I invite you to comment and to like it. I invite you to be blessed. And I hope that the rest of your day is a day of love and of blessing. So until we meet again, have a great one.
Thank you. Bye-bye.
Thank you for joining the Leadership Lunch Break. Join us next Thursday at noon Central Standard Time for lunch as we continue our discussions. Follow Speaking of Joy on all social media platforms or visit our website at www.speakingofjoy.com. That's www.speakingofjoye.com. Until next week.